PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Madeline Zima about Subservience, the new sci-fi thriller that you can check out now. Welcome back to the show. It's always good to see you.
You too, Peter. Thank you. You're
I
so
remember
nice.
when I remember when this was announced. Like I remember when you posted about it. I was like, yes. And now it's out and we can talk about it. It's a crazy thing, right? Like you make these films. Well, before that, you audition for these films, you make them, you rap, and then you play the waiting game. Like, are you starting to get used to it, or is it still crazy every time?
No, it's crazy every time. And then you also don't know if the movie's ever going to come out, even if like huge people are in it. Like you just, it's always nerve-wracking until it comes out. And then it's still nerve-wracking. It's basically all just like, it's a crazy industry, you know.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite things about this film is this kind of like split down the middle, like thriller sci-fi. There's a lot of like sci-fi films that have like thriller elements. There's a lot of like horror or like horror thriller films that have like a little bit of the sci-fi. There's a little bit of that. This has them like equally. Did you notice that in the script when you were reading that?
You know what? The sci-fi element was not the thing that struck me the most about the script. What struck me the most was really the relationships in
Yeah.
it and like the family dynamics, but I know what you're talking about, and I definitely see that in the final product.
Yeah.
Watching the movie, you get a lot more of that than when I read it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, for sure. Megan Fox and yourself just do incredible performance in this. What was that kind of like working with Megan and just like were there any kind of big conversations about certain scenes or just kind of we're just gonna get in there? Like what was that like?
no, there weren't really any like big conversations. Always talk to the director a lot about stuff, but I know that I was just very, intimidated to work with Megan, to be honest. I was a fan of her for such a long time, and she's kind of like an icon.
Mhm.
Um, I also remember just like sort of sitting on set and kind of like catching myself. I have like a staring problem in real life anyway. Like I watch people, I love
Mhm.
watching people, they're fascinating to me. But I kept catching myself like kind of just like staring at her because she's so beautiful. You kind of like can't take your eyes off of her. And then I'm like, this is rude. And I didn't mean to. It's just kind of you kind of linger on beauty a little longer than you normally would with like every passing person. So I just had to be like, remind myself basically not to look at her
Absolutely.
until we're working together, and then I'm in a different headspace.
Madeline Zima got to work with Megan Fox, but I'm gonna throw something out there right now. Megan Fox got to work with Madeline Zima. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's sweet. That's very sweet, Peter.
I'm just saying. You know we like you know I'm a fan.
I appreciate it. I'm a fan of you too. I mean, you're making stuff all the time now. It's pretty awesome.
I appreciate that. It's gonna be only a matter of time when we're gonna be like making
Working
something
together.
together. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um,
No, but she was amazing. Like I remember watching her in a scene where like I yell at her and she
yeah.
like smiled and like cocked her head. I don't think that that's the take that they end
In
up
the
using.
trailer too, there's like really like weird, messed up interactions that they put in that like is really good from a
Yeah.
first like glance. Like, oh my god, it's like one of these.
Yes, and like, given that your husband brings home a robot that looks like Megan Fox, I mean, anybody would be a little, intimidated and probably unnerved by it, even if, whatever. So it's just it was great to work with her. I was
Because of
yeah.
kind of like the sci-fi thriller component, and then you were Space Case in Doom Patrol, were you able to take any kind of mindsets from like something like Doom Patrol to something like this, like Subservience, because of kind of like it's got a little bit of like a sci-fi component, space. Like I'm just wondering, or are they completely kind of separate once you wrap them?
I think they're really different tones
Yeah,
because Doom Patrol has so much levity. There's comedy in it. It's really grounded in a place of a lot of
yeah. But
heartache,
they're both a
but
little sci-fi though. Like if you
they're
look at it
super
right,
sci-fi.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
love genre. I love sci-fi movies. I mean, I think The Matrix is probably one of my favorite films of all time,
so good.
especially sci-fi when it's done having to do with social commentary, which AI couldn't be more relevant right now. That
Yeah.
was what, the whole SAG strike was about, AI and us all becoming, irrelevant in the near future. But the role of motherhood becoming irrelevant and replaced with a robot is an interesting thing. And it's also, it ties back into a lot of interesting findings in science where, you know, if a baby isn't held by a human, by its mother or a human being, if it's not held when it's first born, it will pass away, it will die. We need human connection really, really strongly. So the idea that like robots can at some point replace, you know, the mother role in a family is both unnerving and also not totally feasible. But it's an interesting, deeper conversation that, you know, some people are having, and I hope that the film, you know, sparks in people.
Is it cool working in that like thriller, sci-fi, horror world, knowing that there is a big interest and appetite for it? Like it's always been around, but it's just like it's crazy right now.
Yeah, I mean, because our world is looking more and more like a sci-fi movie. So, you know, I think being a part of something that's also an interesting conversation in people's lives is super, super exciting. And I love that genre. I mean, yeah, so it's very cool. I've never got to be in something that's super sci-fi before like this.
Was there a
So
lot of what were kind of like learning experiences from an acting storyteller perspective that you could take from this film to new projects? Because you're always going to learn something every time, right? Like whether you're on a set once or like 1,000 times.
yeah, you know what? It's interesting, but every like you were saying, did Doom Patrol help prepare me for this? Every single job prepares you for the next job in some way. This one I was away from everybody. You know, I was in Bulgaria for uh like it felt like it forever. I love Bulgaria. It was lovely and the people are amazing, but I had a hard time being away from my family,
Yeah.
and I was away a lot for Doom Patrol as well. And so I think learning how to find like psychological anchors and things that make you feel like home and can lift your spirits when you can't get a hug from a friend, especially during COVID times. Now it's looser and no one really cares anymore, but during COVID times, you know, you have to get tested and people weren't really like, you know, you don't even necessarily get to hang out with your castmates, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Um, but just like I think like learning how to rely on myself and build some kind of a mental focus and fortitude during long stretches away from home, which could be hard.
Were you ever conscious of the audience member watching Subservience while you were making it, or does that kind of happen after you wrap? Because you get this really cool script that has all these kind of AI components. It's got this thriller. It's got these kind of like very like aggressive, unique interactions between your character and Megan Fox. Do you ever think about the audience kind of react to this while you're making it, or does that kind of happen after you wrap?
No, was immediately like, oh God, I'm like, I felt like the nerdy kid walking into the first day of high school with like the two popular kids, you know, because Michele and Megan are so stunningly beautiful, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I felt honestly just super like, okay. I hope people like all of my insecurities sort of came to the fore just having to be on camera with Megan Fox, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very consciously aware of the way that an audience might receive that, how people might judge me, not even just based on my acting or like the moments, but just like how, you know, the world can be really quite rough and harsh towards women and their appearance. And so I was like, you know, it brought up all these old insecurities for sure. And I was just trying to like, how can I handle these and kind of like focus on my work and do the best job I can do and service the role of Maggie, which was just really strong and like likable role. So how can I do that the best? And I just try to stay focused on that, but it was hard.
Yeah, for sure. You're so good in this though. Congratulations, seriously.
Thank
Like
you. Thank
it's a
you.
lot of fun, and people could check out Subservience, starring Madeline Zima and Megan Fox. Madeline, it's so great chatting with you as always. Thank you so much for your time, honestly.
Thank you, Peter. It was such a joy as always.
Of course. Yeah, so people could check out the film, and your Instagram is just your what's your Instagram? People want to keep up to date with everything?
My Instagram is at Maddie Zima, and my Twitter is at Madeline Zima 1. I have an episode of High Potential coming out as well, which
Mhm.
is the new Kaylin Olsen show.
We just did an interview of Amira J from that, so that should be coming out soon. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always doing interviews. I feel like anytime you bring something up, there's like someone I've interviewed or like I know about it.
Probably. You're a busy guy.
Absolutely. I think it's your third time on the show, which is really exciting too.
I feel very lucky that you'll have me back so much.
Oh, anytime. You're a series regular on this show.
Oh,
Well, this has been
nice.
Pop Alternative, youtube.com/Pop Alternative for previous episodes. You can catch Madeline Zima in Subservience with Megan Fox. Until next time, this is Madeline and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Alternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Alternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.